in another vlog. uh, so, breaking news, according to media reports at least, News 24 being the one that I picked up. The headline being Ramaphosa told and to lift the ban on alcohol and cigarettes, and to move the country to level 2. This is according to media reports, of course, that are now currently circling, and I'm sure they're probably, social media. So I'm going to give it a moment for people to join this little stream and vlog. It's not going to be a long one, because again, this is all just speculation at this point, and really, it's media reports that we're going on, and no official word yet officially from not only the presidency but the South African government in its entire report, in its entire state at least. Sorry. Quick check. Those who are joining, Eugene Rudman, I see you, homie. Agent 17, hey dog, how you doing? Guys, can you hear me clearly? Can you see me clearly? Just a quick check in that regard. I'm currently on my way to meet Debbie Else, who's part of the Stop Farm Murders lobby, I'll call it that. My apologies to her if she's seeing this. I am a bit late. Doing the groundwork, unfortunately, sometimes can mean, you struggle to keep time. I just come from a few communities around Cape Town, but the weather is just proving impossible today. So I'm on my way, as I said, to meet Debbie Else, who I might actually want to have on the show. So, yeah, pretty keen on that. So, with apologies to Debbie, of course, I am running perhaps about 10 minutes late. With that being said, today's vlog, this short vlog, I said, guys, for those of you who have been on the Liberty bus and the Liberty train, if you will, for a while, you'll know that I've been saying this for a very long time, that, the ANC, for all their dumbness at times, is not, they're not, they also, like any other political party in power, have an incentive for self-preservation. They have an incentive for self-preservation. And self-preservation when you are in political power is, obviously to stay in political power, stay in government, because that's the source of most of your funding to dispense patronage and to dispense, I've made my point, sorry, but to dispense patronage to a growing network of crooked cadres, tenderpreneurs, and really a political elite in this country that acts like a hyena, a vulture, sort of circling the state, looking for their cut of the South African political dream, if I can call it that, in inverted commas. But the point is this: the lockdown initially was all about ideology. Can we lock down a society and be like the famous communist and socialist tsars of past and commissars, to literally force, a security force onto a society to lock it down, in inverted commas? This, of course, was the experiment of level 5 and level 4 lockdown. And I told you in my initial political analysis that the ANC quickly lost appetite for that when it realized that you cannot bypass 26 years of eroding the police force, 26 years of eroding the army, to suddenly expect those same eroded institutions to enforce a lockdown. They quickly realized that their ability to actually enforce said lockdown of level 4 and 5 was impossible, given the absolutely corrupted nature of the police and the army. In other words, they had no control over these particular forces. And how do we know this? Well, we saw, despite what the politicians would want themselves, that same army and that same police force harassing, beating, maligning, and humiliating the very people that the same ANC politician would have to come back and ask for a vote for. We saw that. And the ANC are not dumb. The ANC are not dumb. They knew that the attempt, if you will, of trying to get the army and the police to enforce this great controlled society, the security state, was becoming a very bad look. A very bad look. I'm actually going to pull to the side because I want to chat to you guys about this one. They quickly realized that it was becoming a very bad look. And that, it was virtually impossible for them to expect that those same people who they would then approach in the around the corner local government elections would vote for those same politicians that sicked the army and that sicked the police on them. They realized that. They quickly closed that chapter of level 5 and level 4. And then they moved on to these nonsensy levels of level 3 and level 2, where they give us our freedoms back. We came hat in hand as the public and we said, oh, please, oh politician, can you give us some freedoms back? They enjoyed that groveling from us. And then they said, okay, cool, fine, dear people, we'll move you to level 3 and give you some of your freedoms back and hold back our army, hold back our police to a large extent. Nonsense. Anyway, I digress. The point is, they then moved to these different levels. And then very quickly, we realized that level 3 was not as free as we thought it was, because it was the same nonsense effectively as level 4, insofar as the presence of the police and the army on our streets and that harassing, menacing image of them and the asinine decision making that they make. But the point is this. Fast forward to where we are now. And the data became increasingly clear that nobody, not even the staunchest of ANC supporters, nobody likes being treated like a second-rate citizen, like a something you can throw away, ulamtutu, as we say in Zulu. Nobody likes being treated like that, least of all by the politicians they voted for. Suddenly you saw ardent ANC supporters questioning openly the wisdom of their leadership. For the first time, maybe, not even in a factional way. Suddenly you had the likes of people, insofar as, the former Zuma-ite types versus the Ramaphosa-ite types in the ANC. Both of them actually holding hands and saying, what the hell is going on here? Why are we being treated like scum by our own party members? Now, granted, those people are asking for their own selfish reasons. I mean, some are asking purely because they were locked out of the tenders, right? And they're saying, hey man, why am I being locked out? Where's my 50% markup as a comrade, as a crooked comrade, a crooked cader, if you will? So people are asking for their own selfish reasons, don't get me wrong. People are asking for their own selfish reasons, but nonetheless, their anger was represented in the broader public sphere. Where people are saying, no, that's it, enough. Enough of being treated like I'm a nothing in this society. And you started seeing people, ordinarily people who are very reserved and people who don't protest and people who don't come out. You started seeing those people take to the streets in frustration, taking their cue, for example, from the likes of the taxi industry and other guys who, you saw the hospitality industry in this country. Guys, the tourism and hospitality industry taking to the streets and saying, no, that's it, we're done with these commies, man. The authority of being a minister was so effectively eroded over this last lockdown that ministers themselves, and if you read the article in News 24, you're almost hearing that, where different constituents in government, allegedly in this meeting that was held on Sunday, right up until Tuesday, they said, the special meeting that was held where allegedly Cyril Ramaphosa was told that he's got to end this lockdown. Allegedly, different constituents were saying it's becoming difficult, quote, it's becoming difficult for us to justify these lockdown rules to our constituents. And that makes sense. How the fudge are you in tourism? Or are you in the liquor industry? Or are you in even the security cluster in this meeting? According to, of course, this article, I'm going based on this article. I don't have hard facts on this. So I'm trusting the veracity. I'm not that I'm trusting it, but I'm going off of the article. Suddenly, people in government, like also the politicians, were saying things like, dude, it's becoming very difficult for us. It's becoming very difficult for us to look at people in our constituency, so to speak, whether you're tourism or whatever the case may be, and justify this lockdown. And remember, the health argument completely collapsed. The health argument that this is a pandemic that is stretching our resources. Oh, they said there's going to be an overflowing. We're going to be totally overwhelmed. That narrative, you'll quickly notice, got pushed to the side because the reality of it was it's not happening. It's simply not happening. And I've had the guys at the Panda Group. The actuaries in that group on the show before, and they told us that the lack of this pandemic, overwhelming us and being like scenes of Italy, highly unlikely. And shout out to Germ, the cartoonist, who also has a YouTube channel at Germ Warfare. That homie's been saying this for a very long time, looking at the data, looking at the evidence, and saying, this pandemic, I don't think it's what we're being told it is. So in any event, just to cut the story short, all of these things have now come together, and supposedly at this meeting that was held on Sunday, with the various stakeholders, of the National Coronavirus Command Council, some other joint something, all these acronyms in government that basically mean F-all, because I'm not going to swear on this channel. All these committees basically came to the same conclusion. Dude, there's simply no justification, for what we're doing to South Africans. I'm going to repeat that. That's their conclusion. There simply is no justification for what we're doing to South Africans. This is not news, or it's not novel to those of us who are actually rational thinking human beings who have been looking at this, I nearly said scamdemic, but who have been looking at this thing from the beginning to say, actually, this is an attempt by politicians to introduce and extend powers that they will then keep beyond the pandemic. That's what this whole thing was about from the very beginning. But now it's coming back to bite them in the bum, because the very people that they sort of bank, often quite condescendingly, the ANC are very condescending towards voters in this country, including their own base. They're very condescending. The assumption is, we'll rule, as you've heard them say, until Jesus comes. It is that same mentality, that same outlook from these politicians which saw them do what they did. And now it's coming back to bite them in the bum. And now you're seeing them panic a little bit. Now you're seeing them panic. And you're seeing them do things like I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna hold that thought for a later episode, because there's something else which I was told by a very reputable source in government in those meetings, which I don't want to quite spew here yet. I wanna first get official word from the government. So anyway, guys, let me wrap up with my top 3 thoughts about where this will probably go. Number 1, the ANC recognize quite openly now that they've seriously shot themselves in the foot. That the goodwill that they had built even amongst ANC members is gone. How do I know this, and how do they know this? Number 1, them acknowledging this isn't them acknowledging that they'll lose an election because people will vote for someone else. I don't think that's realistically where we're going to go politically. I think the biggest risk the ANC faces politically, and they know it, is the growing apathy amongst ANC voters, the growing apathy amongst people who are kind of saying, you know what, I may not vote for anybody else, but I sure as hell am not voting. And my vote ordinarily, according to the ANC voter, would have gone to the ANC. That is the biggest political risk the ANC is facing. They know it, and they are frightened by it. They are frightened by it. That's the first point. That's the first bit, if you will, of political analysis that the ANC is awake to, and it's giving them sleepless nights. Number two, in terms of where this will go, Ramaphosa is now in a position where the game's up. The facade is done. Everybody knows Ramaphosa's weaknesses now, including his political opponents. And everybody knows that this guy is just a caretaker. He's not actually a leader. He's a caretaker. So you now have people within the ANC who are jostling for position, a position that will give them the upper hand, if you will, for when it's time to start electing new leadership. And Ramaphosa is not stupid. Well, he's a bit of a fool, but he's not stupid. And those who backed him to the hilt are seeing their own positions being threatened within the ANC. That's what I know is now coming and seeing within the party. And this I took from someone who used to be very senior in the party. We had this chap, I won't name him. And he said, look, a lot of us are leaving government now because we see the writing on the wall. A lot of these guys are going into business and, basically trading off of what was their former political positions. And they're leaving government because they see the writing on the wall. That the ANC is fundamentally changing, and the ANC that will come back is going to be very different. And it will have a zero tolerance for the rational types. That's the big problem. That's the big concern that you should be worrying about in terms of my second point. And the last one is government is now going to go on a full PR campaign. Nothing about government now will be about service delivery. Money will be funneled and shafted into PR, both in terms of, look at how fantastic we are as government, keep voting for this government. Look at our service delivery track record as this government, keep voting for this government. Oh, what's that? You need a food parcel, they'll say? Keep voting for this government. It'll be a full, greasy, slimy PR campaign by politicians who are now desperate to hold on to that voter I told you about. That voter who literally says, you know what? I may not vote for anything else, but I'm just not going to vote. I'm going to join the growing league of registered South African voters who don't vote, who now number 18 million. I used to say erroneously 12 million, but again, it goes to my point. That 12 million had ballooned up to now being 18 million people, registered, eligible to vote, but don't vote. So guys, as I wrap up and conclude, this is the one to watch. And also, very quickly, a very quick note to some of you guys who are going to be like, yay, let's celebrate this and forget the nonsense. Don't. South African politicians have put families in this country through the most pain, through the most misery over this last, 130 something days now of lockdown. Do not forget that. Do not forget that. I won't. And I can tell you now, as I go to the various communities that I'm working in, they don't. They don't forget that. Because you're having people in communities who are saying, you know what? I used to be okay. I used to be, sort of lower middle class, upper working class, but I've just lost my job. And now I don't know where my next loaf of bread is going to come. I can't look after my family. That individual is not going to forget what the politicians did to them. Anyway, food for thought, guys. So I just really wanted to get that out there. Just my cursory thoughts on this, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. But do not celebrate. Do not celebrate. This is not a moment of victory in any regard. This is a moment that should galvanize you even further. To say, actually, it's at these moments where you rally people and say, you know what? You haven't won anything yet until you have a complete fundamental change of the entire system. Politicians giving you little trinkets and convincing you that they hold the power is not a victory. Food for thought. Food for thought. Anyway, guys, I'm going to watch the comments. I'm going to look at the comment section in this. Let me know what your thoughts are on social media. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at Big Daddy Liberty. Throw me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're watching this through the Facebook link, throw a comment in on the post. Let me know what you think. But I repeat, as a final thought, do not celebrate this moment. It is not a moment for celebrating. Double down. Double down. And let's build something that truly scares the politicians. They're a little bit rattled now because they're seeing the effects of their asinine decisions. But as South Africans, we actually need to double down on this and literally put the fear of God in them and say, actually, you're not coming back after the next election, period. That's my thought on this. As I said, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Debbie, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. I'm so late. I'm so sorry. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, I'm going to go meet Debbie Else now. A big figure in this Stop Farm Murders movement. So I'm going to go meet her now. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Share this video, please, to as many as you folks as you possibly can. Remember, if you want to support my work, as I'm on the ground war now, this is my life. Literally, a lot of my videos now will come from this vehicle because I've sold everything I own, or most of the things I own, and live on the road now. You're welcome to support my mission by donating as little as $1 a month. You can do that, of course, via Patreon. Just follow the links in, actually, I don't think I put them in this description, but I'll put them in. And of course, on PayPal. You can also donate $1 a month, as little as $1 a month via PayPal by using BigDaddyLibertiesA@gmail.com. Guys, thank you so much. Please, as I said, pop the comments through. Let me know what you think. Tonight, the Big Daddy Liberty show. I'm hoping to have Debbie on the show. Otherwise, we'll continue this. We'll have a chat about it. Guys, thank you. Enjoy the day. And never trust a commie.